come on in. Today we're having an important conversation. We've been talking about narcissists, narcissistic abuse, and how it affects you. We've been talking about the telltale signs of the narcissist, and by now, if you're in a narcissistic relationship, I'm sure you know it, and you can relate to so many of those telltale signs. So today we're going to talk about something you hear a lot about. We're going to define it and talk out healing processes so that we can be stronger people. We're all in the healing journey together because life has dealt pretty much all of us some kind of bad hand at some point in time, and we're left not knowing what to do sometimes, not knowing even how to heal. So we here at Chevy Cool Lady, and by we I mean only me, are here to both educate and enlighten and soothe your soul. I really hope so. So come on in. Y'all mean the world to me. If it's your first time visit, we talk here about true crime, current events, mysterious happenings, phenomena, and we're talking about healing. We're spending a lot of time on healing due to the fact that these true crime cases have really impressed me with what a need to recognize the type of relationship you're in so that you're not damaged, so that you can be extracted from a narcissistic relationship or a wedding vow that has been broken. And you can do it with a freedom of conscience, because if a contract's broken, there's no longer a contract in place. We've talked about that also. But today we're going to talk about the trauma bond. The trauma bond, it sounds so romantic. It's like people think of the thought that maybe we've gone through some kind of deep trauma together and it drew us close and now we're bonded in this relationship. But the fact of the matter, that's not necessarily a earmark for a trauma bond. Yes, you've been through trauma. Perhaps they have too. But there's not the meshing that you're hoping for, is there? Because what your trauma bond is actually earmarked by is the statement, I can't live with him and I can't live without him. Is that how you feel about your current or past relationship that you've been in? Let me know in the comments. Let's go ahead and talk about some things. I've taken a few notes and some bullet points down, and we're going to move forward here. So, what is a trauma bond? Like I said, it's not that shared trauma that you think it is, or that's necessarily portrayed in a lot of movies and that type of thing. What it really is an intense relationship that gets fostered between good moments and emotional abuse. There's invalidation, rage, betrayal, in an alternate cycle of what you might consider good days. And you're living for those good days. You're living for those good moments. But the fact of the matter, what you now consider good probably isn't as good as you really want it to be. It might not be good at all, and it probably isn't. You may not be ready to leave your narcissistic partner. It's a process. And part of it is just waking up to what's really going on. And that's why I'm spreading this information to you. If you're in a narcissistic relationship, you're basically in a purgatory, just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Did you get through Thanksgiving all right? Did you get through it without incident? It's hard to believe, because holidays seem to be the favorite of a narcissist to kind of ruin your day, ruin your plans, really ruin your life, because that's what they like to do. I know it's hard to think that someone would actually get joy or pleasure out of giving you a hard time or making you feel inadequate, but some people are so twisted that's how their mind works. And it's hard for like a normal person or a nice person to even think that way, or even admit that their partner, someone who they trusted and committed so much time, invested so much skin in the game, is that type of person. It's hard to come to the realization, but knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So what do you think? What do you, this is basically a thought question. What is it that you like or love? Come on in, Bobby. Come on in. Y'all are welcome. I'm so happy to have you in my live. We're talking about trauma bonds. What is a trauma bond? It might not be what you think it is. It's not necessarily a bond through a particular trauma or series of trauma, or maybe you both had bad childhoods or whatever. What it is allowing a cycle to begin in your life where the good is not so good, but you're just living for those moments because they're quickly defined by bad, by abuse, by neglect, isolation, superiority, arrogance, gaslighting, all the things that we know narcissists love to do. So why do you stay in this type of relationship? Basically, the number one reason from what I've heard and what I've felt myself is the fear of being alone. You feel so tied, so invested in this person, and sometimes it means that if you leave with nothing. I've done it myself, and it can be done, and it's a small price to pay to be free of your narcissist, in my opinion. Don't be too attached to earthly things. They wear out, they fade, they rust, they go out of style. And even if you leave with nothing, when you restart, you will always upgrade everything. Yeah, you left your old TV. Guess what? When you go to buy one, you're going to get a new one that's better than the old one. Everything's going to get better for you. The worst hell you can be in is in a relationship with a narcissist. There is no good. What happens is they start breadcrumbing you after they lose interest, and narcissists tend to get bored very easily. They love the chase, they love the hunt, but once they have you, you're just not what they want anymore. They want something new. Cheating is rampant with a narcissistic personality because they live for that ego rush that motivates them. So when your good times start not being so good, they just kind of breadcrumb you, just a little bit here, a nice word here, something kind there. There's no consistency. It's interrupted rudely by a whole lot of abuse, and then when you're just about through with them in your mind, that's when they'll be nice to you. That's when they'll do something kind. That's when they'll buy you that thing you wanted. They love to buy things for you because that's how they can show both ownership over you, possession of you, and they can hold that thing they gave you over your head. Once I got in a huge fight with my narc, and we were on the motorcycle, and he pushed me off the bike. He stopped and pushed me off his bike, and he began physically abusing me, and he started hitting me in the head, and I stood up, and there was a barn not too far, and I ran to the barn, and he ran after me, and he got a hold of me because he was bigger and he was stronger and he was faster than me, and I was crying, I was screaming, but nobody was around, and he just started hitting my head on the side of the barn, and causing me so much pain and anxiety, and I just took off, and he's just screaming after me, "Give me those boots! I bought you those boots!" I just remember hearing that, and of course I did, because I'm hard-headed, and I'm like that, and I just threw the boots at him, and I kept walking down the road. And when I consider how much danger you put yourself in when you're in this type of relationship, because now you're acting on just impulse with no plans, and really it's a dangerous world out there, and nobody should push you to that brink, and nobody should hold the things that they've given you over you at all. It's not right. It's wrong. And if you're with somebody that's doing that, you have to at least wake up in your mind to what your relationship really is. It may be a trauma bonded relationship with a narcissist, and because of your sweet nature, they're taking advantage of you. Because of your fear of being alone, they're holding on to you. They're probably not being faithful to you. They don't like to be faithful, generally speaking. But recognizing the trauma bond in the relationship is really the first step to the battle of extracting yourself from that type of relationship. You might not be ready, but it is a wake-up call. What if I'm wrong? Well, you're probably not wrong. Probably in your mind, you don't want to leave, possibly because you think that someone's going to come along and bring out the Prince Charming in him and make it work with him. And you don't want to give that possibility, however remote it might be, of it working out to someone else. You don't want someone else sitting in your chair. I get it. But the life that you think is waiting for him with someone else, it's just going to be the same for the next woman or man that comes along in the narcissist's life, because they can't change. They're like that, and somebody else who's a little nicer, who's better looking, who's richer, who whatever is in your mind thinking, whatever you're thinking is going to come along after you. Believe me, we'll go through the same hell that you're going through now. The narcissist doesn't change, their motives don't change, and their desire for ungodly control over another person using tactics like manipulation, love bombing, and breadcrumbing are all part of the game. The relationship is one that alternates from good to bad. What you consider good is probably just a normal day. Maybe it's a day you didn't get yelled at. Maybe it's a day you didn't get smacked around. Maybe it's a day you didn't have to face some kind of verbal or psychological abuse. That's a good day. So your idea of good has now just sunk way down here. Instead of raising the bar to a better life, you're just lowering your standards of what you consider a good day. Oh, we had a great vacation. Maybe that meant that you went away for the weekend and he didn't text his lover in another state. That's not really a great vacation. See what I'm saying? We lower the bar. We lower our own expectations because we get used to a diet of breadcrumbs. Oh, how sad. How sad it is. Have y'all ever experienced that? Let me know in the chat. Let me know where y'all are viewing from as well. I'm always excited to see so many wonderful, kind people in my chat. I really love you guys. And I just want to encourage you to have a better life. So the relationship alternates from good or normal to bad. Typical. The day you're not yelled at turns to be a good day. Well, you got to face the fact you're good. Your idea of good is effed up. Your idea of what's good is messed up. You have lowered your whole idea of what's good. And that's part of the narcissistic plan. It's their evil plan. I do not miss these days. And it took me a long time to break away. It's a process and it's not easy, but there's light on the other side of the tunnel. And it begins with just waking up. One thing that narcissists do is they're full of promises. They promise you anything and everything. If you're not married and you want to get married, oh, they'll promise you. They'll even talk about what you're going to do on your wedding. They'll make the fakey plans with you because they have no intention probably of fulfilling any promise that's going to make you happy, whatever it is. A vacation, a new car, whatever, it's not likely that they're going to fulfill promises unless there's something that they can get from it, because they're all about self rewards and benefiting themselves. They don't know what a true sacrifice or how to say no to themselves. They're like a big babies, big baby rats inside a adult body, basically. Somebody once told me that the definition between, or the distinction between an adult and a child is that an adult produces more than it consumes and a child consumes more than it produces. It's that easy. If you're an adult and you're consuming more than you're producing, yeah, there's a lot of immaturity there. So we lower our standards when we deal with narcissists. We lower our expectations. We accept the breadcrumbs that they leave as a little trail to keep following them along, following. And I don't know, every now and then my Wi-Fi gets real weak. So I hope y'all have a good signal. Let me know if you can hear me all right and everything. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'm Chevy Cool Lady if you're just tuning in now. I'm so happy to have you with me as we encourage ourselves to have a better life, to heal from narcissistic abuse, and not accept the breadcrumbs that they want to give us. It's not right that they do it, and we deserve better. We deserve meat. We are children of the Lord. We deserve a meal, don't we? If you can get to a point where you feel like I can feed myself better, then maybe you can. Why don't we walk away? Because we are afraid somebody else will hit this magical jackpot and get the man that we've always dreamed that they should be. It's not going to happen. So that's not a good. So your standards go down, and eventually the entitlement, indifference, the selfishness kicks in more and more, because your narcissist is a typical narcissist. They run by the narcissist playbook that they're given at birth, apparently, or the software that's been downloaded into them, or whatever it is. It's a whole nother world, and it's a world that it's hard for a partner to even pretend to be happy in after a while. You start to even exaggerate even the smallest of kindness, even the most normal acts. You exaggerate just to justify being in this relationship, because that's how ridiculous and out of skew everything becomes. It's not healthy for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for anybody. And it's really not good for children. Some people want to say they stay together for the kids' sake, but really, is it good for them to see their mom or dad belittled and treated in such a dishonorable way? You know, you got to wake up to your own mental health, and me too. So we see that these elaborate justifications and accepting the breadcrumbs we're given all play into the trauma bond relationship. Your trauma bond relationship is not some romantic thing where you've been just bonded by this trauma and learn to just cling and love each other. No, it's just the opposite. It's like your weaknesses, your frailties are going to be just manipulated by this narcissist person who has only their self-interest in mind. No matter how much you justify, no matter how you over amplify the little tiny things that they do that aren't really worth crap, and we try to make it into a big deal, we try to make it into just the nicest, loveliest thing in the world, but it's not. And it's not okay to be abused. I'm here for you. Please feel free to email me. I will get you whatever resources that I can to help you. Sometimes an objective ear is all you need. I'm not a counselor, attorney, or anything else other than a God-fearing woman who wants to see you at your best. So I thank you all for tuning in. I'll be bringing you some more true crime stories later on today. I just want to get us off on a positive note. So thanks so much. You mean the world to me. Enjoy your day and God bless you.